The New York Jets' second preseason game is in the books. We're going to talk about it all right now. So let's get fired up. The Jets Giants game just ended a little while ago, and it was not the best performance by our New York Jets. Now, we were running the ball effectively, and had that been a regular season game, I would have said, you know what? Just keep running the ball. However, this isn't a real game. It isn't a game that counts. And so I get it. You know, the offense needs reps. Fields and the receivers, they need reps. But tonight was not a good showing by the offense. You know, Giants defensive line got after it. Our guys did not hold up as well as they could have, and it's a process. You know, there's going to be some growing pains with this new offense. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. However, there were some positives from this game, and I'm not going to complain about the refs, especially in a preseason game. However, there were some blown calls, especially some PI calls. Now, I like the fact that they were letting the guys go at it and letting them play. However, that there was one with Arian Smith in particular that was egregious to say the least. Now, I'm almost waiting. As a matter of fact, while the game was going on, I was watching another show and they were saying like, "Oh, I'm just waiting for the fans to say, you know, let's give Martinez a shot." And no lie, like as that was being said, I look at Twitter and somebody posts the comments that we need to give Martinez more time. Well, I think we all saw tonight why he's a, you know, backup at best. The pass that he threw across his body was just absolutely awful. Yeah, practice squad quarterback at best. Now, the running game looked really good. You know, and our two young tackles in the running game, they look really good. The pass protection, it'll get better. I'm not too worried about that. Listen, there aren't a lot of teams in the NFL that have a defensive line like the Giants do. Okay, Dexter Lawrence wasn't out there tonight, but Dexter Lawrence probably one of the better defensive tackles in the entire league. Brian Burns, first round pick. Kayvon Thibodeau, first round pick. Abdul Carter, first round pick. I mean, dude, you got a whole line made up of high draft picks. Also, Darius Alexander, third round pick. Another good player. I mean, they are absolutely loaded up front. Probably the best part of that whole team. And I certainly don't claim to know everything. However, if you know me, if you watch this show or you watch any of the other shows, you know that, yes, I love the Jets. And if there's one thing that I love almost as much as the New York Jets, it is that I love Florida State. And let me tell you something. I watched every single snap of Brian Burns' college career. Okay, that guy is a game wrecker. He's easily a top 5 defensive end in the entire league right now. So, you know, judging the fact that, you know, our rookie who's just now facing competition that's not his own team was having trouble with a guy like that, not really a surprise. That being said, you know, the pass protection will get better. I really liked what they did in the run game. And let me tell you what, shout out to Stone Smart, who absolutely flattened Abdul Carter tonight. One of the things that I said as the preseason was just getting ready to start, things that I wanted to look for, Tyler Johnson, who was getting open consistently at practice. Can that carry over into the games? Stone Smart, can he improve his blocking and get more time? Possibly, past Jeremy Ruckert on the depth chart. Now, there was only one play, but I'll tell you what, on that one play, his blocking looked pretty good because he absolutely leveled Carter. And, Stiggers had the interception in the end zone for a touchback. Nice. There were some positives, but all in all, it was an uneven performance by our Jets. A lot of things that can get worked on, a lot of things that can get cleaned up still. So, it was a tough game. It was a tough game, but I would like to think that, if we're going to have these problems, let's have them now. Let's have them now in the preseason where it doesn't count. Let's get all this ironed out before the real games start, before the bullets really start flying. So even though it was a little bit tough to watch at times, there were some definite positives to be taken away from it. Another thing is the long touchdown that Russell Wilson threw at the beginning of the game. Like, Stiggers did the right thing. He passed off the coverage to Cisco. And it's funny because it's a matter of perspective, I suppose. Now, Rich Samini had a tweet that said, Cisco stumbled on the play a little bit, which allowed the guy to get wide open on that score. Then there's people from the Giants beat that are tweeting about it, that are making it sound like, we just got absolutely roasted. And, they conveniently leave out the part that our safety stumbled a little bit, which I'm not making excuses or anything, but that was kind of a fluky play. I really, really wish that they would have left the starters in for at least one more series. But if we learned anything from tonight, I think we learned that both Malachi Corley and Xavier Gibson are gone. I think their time with the New York Jets has come to an end. Like the old saying goes, the best ability is availability. And dude, when you're fighting, trying to make the roster, being out with an injury is, no way to prove yourself, So some guys are stepping up. Brandon Smith had a nice catch tonight. But where some guys are taking advantage of their opportunities, other guys seem to have squandered theirs. That being said, I still have utmost, faith in our coaching staff. I think this will all get sorted out, and I think things will look a lot better. I'm still of the mind, maybe I'm overly optimistic, but I'm still of the mind that I'm not scared of Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not scared of Pittsburgh. So week 1 does not intimidate me in the least bit. I think we'll be ready to go when the real bullets start flying. And that's the other thing about preseason. Teams aren't really showing their hands. I'm hoping that the Jets have a lot of plays and a lot of things, from an offensive standpoint that they're not showing, that when the real games do start, it's going to put us in a better position. The other thing is that, it's so hard to judge during preseason because the starters get such a limited amount of time. So it's really hard to judge from just, a couple of plays. And one thing I can say is Fields has got to get better. If we're going to have any kind of shot this year, Fields has got to get better. He was late on a lot of his throws tonight, which is weird because you'd think if you're getting a lot of pressure, he would be hurrying balls, but I don't know. I guess that's the thing I'm trying to say is I wish I could have seen more. I wish I could have seen more from our quarterback and receivers in this game. Defense looked good for the most part, starting defense, that is. But yeah, there's not much else to say. This was kind of a sloppy affair, kind of a tough game to watch, but I do think it'll get better. So I'm looking forward to see where we go from here. I'm probably going to make this show a little bit of a shorter one. I wish I had much more positive things to talk about. I don't want to sit here and I'm not a negative person. I don't want to have a negative show. I don't want to sit here and harp on the negatives. Nick Folk made all his field goals. Our punter is awesome. I know at the start of the game, it was like, all 6 punts that he had attempted up to that point were inside the opponent's 20. So I would say that, if anything, we got a damn good punter, and I can see why they call him the sniper. So, that, yeah, you know what? I guess that pretty much sums it up pretty well. With when one of our brightest things to talk about is our punter. That's tough, man. It's a tough one. So really quick, I'm going to give you guys a public service announcement.
Listen up, all you incredible people out there looking at your computers, looking at your phones. Make sure you like and subscribe to Rickie New York, baby. JETS. Yes.
Yeah, and come week 1, we will have that Jets chant rocking, and I think we'll get a lot different outcome than what we saw tonight. I don't want people to, get too high or too low. Like I said, this was a really tough game to watch, but at the same time, there were a lot of positives. And you know what? If this had been a real game and our run game was as effective as what it was, we might not have seen hardly any passing attempts from Fields. We probably would have just kept running the ball right down their throat. Because if they can't stop it, why go away from it? So at any rate, I think things will definitely get better. Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty much speechless. I don't think there's too much else that can be said about this game tonight. I'm like sitting here in the back of my mind trying to think if there was anything else that stood out to me that I'm skipping over or not getting to, but I really don't think there is. Not a lot of positives. I mean, Braylon and Brees both look good. I think that we kind of have seen the identity of this team is going to be a run first team. And I think our run game is going to be really good. So if there's a positive that I can take away from this, that would be it. We're going to be a damn good running team this year. If the run is effective, it'll open up other things. So don't freak out too much, Jet fans. I know that there's a lot of them out there that are probably just waiting for the other shoe to drop to see what's going to go wrong next. But I honestly believe that things are going to get better for us. And yeah, ISU, that's a good point too. You know, less penalties, I guess, are the positive. There were still a couple. There was the one holding penalty early in the game that took away a nice run, but overall the penalties were a little bit better. So I guess that's progress. And you know what? I've said it before. There's going to be some bumps in the road with Justin Fields. You know, there's going to be some growing pains. However, he's got all the potential in the world, and at the very least, he's going to give us some exciting games. So I'm looking forward to that. We may have some of the more exciting games we've seen from a Jets quarterback in a long time. And let me bring on a caller real quick. And
what's up, guys? Can you guys hear me?
What's happening, buddy?
What's up?
Yeah,
Can you guys
absolutely.
hear me? So I didn't think the Jets played too good. I think the starting offense I didn't think it was that good. I mean, I understand why Jets fans are concerned. 1 out of 5 passing. He only had 1 completion. That's not good in the preseason. I mean, everyone's overreacting. I feel like, oh, it's a preseason. I'm a little concerned, 1 out of 5 isn't really that great. Hopefully he doesn't continue like this in the regular season. He needs to improve. And then I really like Aaron Smith. I think he played good today. And then the I can't remember the name of the wide receiver 6. He played good today. That wide receiver that pressed. He played like on the 3rd string. He was good though.
Go ahead, keep going.
And then so I feel like Brady Cook, I think Martinez and Cook played better than Fields today, but that's just my thoughts on it.
Well, you know that this is the thing, and I like I said earlier, I was waiting, kind of for somebody to suggest that maybe Martinez should see more playing time or something. But the thing is, it's easier to look good when you're going against like 4th and 5th stringers and guys that probably aren't even going to make an NFL roster, as opposed to going against the starters. So, Martinez and Cook, have looked good at times, but at the same time, look at the competition level they're playing against. Justin Fields playing against starters.
I agree.
Those guys aren't. So
Quantez Skinner was impressive though. I think he could make the 53-man roster over Malachi Corley. I feel like Corley hasn't shown us anything.
No, he definitely has not, and I think Corley's as good as gone. But dude, appreciate you calling in. I've seen you calling into a lot of the other shows. I think this might have been the first show you called into when you called me the first time, but I've seen you on Jake, and I've seen you all over the place. So you're definitely making the rounds, man. Keep it up. Keep up that positivity, man. And good to have you call in as always, man. Don't be a stranger.
Okay, so and then what are your expectations for the Eagles game? Like, what are 2 players you're excited to see in the game versus the Eagles?
I would honestly be surprised if we saw any of our starters in that game. I think that's probably going to be more of an audition for the guys that are trying to make the team and their last shot to show things. I'd like to see what Donovan Edwards ends up doing if he ends up hanging around. My guy Pokey Wilson, can he make a late run? But mainly I'm kind of looking at Brandon Smith. Yeah, that's probably it. I want to see who emerges from the receiver group is probably what I'll be looking for out of that game.
So I have a couple players that I want to see in the game. So I feel like I want to see Quentin Skinner. Hopefully he had a touchdown today, and then Aaron Smith, and then I want to see, and then Mason Taylor. I want to see those 3 players, and then for defense, Jay Tufele. How did Jay Tufele play? Because I don't know if he played. I don't know if he played today.
You know what? I don't really recall him. Yeah, I don't really recall seeing him or seeing his name called too much tonight. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna go back and rewatch it again. Why I don't know, but I'm gonna go back and watch it again and kind of really pick apart some of the line play on both sides.
I feel like the penalties were like, I didn't notice as many penalties, but even Glenn was like, "Oh, we had 10 penalties and stuff." And it wasn't good. I mean, I didn't think we played good today.
Yeah, it was definitely, like I said, a very uneven performance, and but I do think it'll get better. But I got another caller waiting to come in, so I'm going to bring him in. And but like I said, man, thank you so much. Definitely appreciate it, and man, keep the calls coming, man. You're doing a phenomenal job.
Sounds good.
All right, man. And let me bring in the next caller. Party with Peg and Artie. What's happening, man?
Hey, Rickie, how you doing? How's everybody doing?
Doing okay. You know, was a little bit bummed out initially over the game, but you know, I kind of stepped back and took a breath and thought about it for a minute. And like I said, if there's going to be some uneven performances, let's get it out of the way now before the games count.
Yeah, Rickie. And I mean, if you really step back and think about it, first of all, they're not going to show anything that they're going to put on tape that they're going to use the regular season. Half our defense, Sauce didn't play, JJ didn't play, Will McDonald didn't play. A lot of guys didn't play. Quinnen didn't play, right? So basically their ones and a bunch of our ones and twos was 7-6 at halftime. That's fine.
Yeah.
We kind of know what Justin Fields is. We know he's basically a bridge quarterback. We're hoping does more.
Right.
He's not a gunslinger. He's not going to throw the ball all over the place. He's not Josh Allen. He's none of the, you know what I mean? So what he's going to do is 1-2 reads, drop it off to somebody or run if we don't have a running play already going. So I'm not expecting much. I think what happened was we got so pumped up by watching a absolutely awful Green Bay team last week. They were dog shit last week, and we whooped on them as we should have. The Giants played a lot better than Green Bay did. A lot of drops, a lot of sloppy play, a lot of stuff that could be corrected. I'm not too worried about how many times have you seen the Jets go 4-0 in preseason and go 1-15? How many times we see Zach Wilson light up preseason? All right, he turned the corner, and he still stink. You know what I mean? We don't know what we got until week 1. That's basically it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like I said, I'm not going to get too high or low. You know, it is preseason, and that's a good point. You know, Jermaine, Will McDonald, you know, Quinnen Williams, like all our pass rushers didn't even play in this game, whereas, you know, we're playing against a bunch of first round picks, you know.
And it was 7-6 at halftime. We were right there, you know, just that our guys who are basically not going to be on the roster probably come game time stunk. I mean, they were undisciplined. A lot of those guys ain't even going to be on the team. So I'm not too worried about it.
If Cisco hadn't have stumbled, it might have been 6-0 at halftime. So
yeah, I mean that happens. The guy made a nice play. Give him credit. Jackson Dart looked really good. You know, give him credit. You know, it has nothing to do with us. He's you know, I mean, he just called us up a little bit with a bunch of guys that probably aren't going to be on the roster. So I'm not too worried about it.
I completely agree. 100%, man. It'll get better. Don't lose any sleep over it, man. And
it is like a work in progress, right? This ain't going to be something that's going to turn the corner in one season. It's probably going to be some growing pains along the way till they develop it. But you know, I do have a feeling that these guys know what they need to do to build a team. At least they've done it before. They've seen it before. So you know what? If it takes a season, as much as I hate to say it, because we've been out of the playoffs for so long, we've been dog shit for so long. You know, that just might be what we're dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely true. And as Jets fans, I mean, that's the last thing we want to hear is be patient.
Right.
You know, we've been waiting and waiting, but at the same time, it's not fair to the new regime to expect results right off the bat either. Completely agree.
Yeah, it's not fair to them, to drag them through it. You know what I mean? Just because they're doing a whole bunch of stuff with a lot of players that aren't their players. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, you know what? We've already seen that he's holding guys accountable, and that what used to be okay around here is not going to be put up with anymore. So I think we're heading in the right direction. It may take us a little while to get there, but we're headed in the right direction.
I agree, Ricky. I think we'll be fine, man.
Yeah, I do too, man. Dude, thanks for calling in. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys so much. Definitely, man. And looking forward to meeting you guys in Tampa.
Absolutely. See you in Tampa.
All right, man. All right. And next.
Hey, Ricky, how
Charles,
are you, buddy?
how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. First, I want to make an announcement. Huge shout out to Nick Shine, by the way. For all those that I call mofos during the Nick Shine show, I had to say something. Because I'm sick and tired of these people that whenever we start struggling in the preseason, like, oh, we're going to suck. It's preseason, damn it. I mean, I'd rather us suck during the preseason more so than the regular season. I mean, plus, not a lot of these guys going to make the friggin' team. Besides, there's one thing I did learn, and I said it on the Nick Shine show. Huge shout out to Nick Shine once again. I said the offense is going to be a work in progress, especially the receiving core. I mean, our offensive line looks good. Our rushing attack looks good. Our defense is going to be fine, even though it's not perfect. It's going to be fine. Special teams is going to be fine. But our passing attack is going to be a work in progress. And I know a lot of people say, oh, Justin Fields is terrible. Look, Justin Fields did not play well, that I understand. But at the same time, receivers were dropping passes. Bad timing with it's not just all Justin Fields. Look, I'm not saying Justin Fields. I'm not saying I'm not concerned at all with Justin Fields. I'm more so probably sure I have with our passing attack is not with Justin Fields because we know he can throw the football well, and he has improved over time with his passing numbers, and especially with his turnover ratio. It's the receivers. I mean, his best receiver in terms of the receiving core is Garrett Wilson. We did get a nice pass with Mason Taylor, but unfortunately, that's the only thing we saw from Mason Taylor. Outside of that, we haven't seen much from him. I don't know. Is he hurt? Is he banged up too?
Well, he had the ankle, but he came back, and I mean, he was making some nice plays in practice. We just didn't really see him tonight, which they might be trying to kind of take it easy with him and let him get fully healthy. And again, probably, I hope we get to see the starters a little bit in the next game, but I have a funny feeling we're not. I have a funny feeling that's probably all we're going to see from the offensive starters was what we got tonight. But
our offensive line for the most part looked good, especially in pass protection. Especially our starters. The starters were just knocking people off their blocks. I mean, and the run game looked really good. The run blocking has been good both of the last two games. So that's very encouraging. And, like I said, we're going to be a pretty dominant run team, kind of like what we were during the first 2 years of Rex Shrine. Where we have a strong offensive line, and we're just going to run the shit out of the football. Even though here's the difference between the 2009 and 2025 Jets. We had an experienced offensive coordinator at the time in Brian Schottenheimer, who I know a lot of Jet fans don't want to hear that name right now, but but it's the damn truth. We had an experienced offensive coordinator at the time in Brian Schottenheimer, coaching up a rookie quarterback who broadcasted the game today in Mark Sanchez alongside Ian Eagle. And, that's what really helped us have somewhat success on offense that year. Obviously, we got an experienced quarterback in Justin Fields working with a rookie offensive coordinator, Tanner Anderson, which I will say, even though the play calling wasn't always that great, I do like his creativity. Something we haven't really seen from our offensive coordinators in God knows how long. Yeah. I like that he's trying to scheme guys open, but as I said, our receiving core, outside of Garrett Wilson. Obviously, we still got our tight ends in Stone Smart, Jeremy Ruckert, and of course Mason Taylor. But outside of Garrett Wilson, who do we have in our receiver? I mean, Arian Smith made some nice catches, even though he did drop one or two passes. But hey, he did have a nice game overall. But we didn't see Tyler Johnson do anything. Josh Reynolds, I don't think was even targeted today.
Not that I recall. Yeah.
I think Crowley's not going to make the team. I don't think Gibson's going to make the team. I know he got dinged up in the game today, Gibson, but I don't think he's going to make the team. I do like. Now I know his last name is Nwanwu, the guy that kicked off, had that excellent kickoff return for a touchdown against the Seahawks. He had some nice runs today. Brees, even though he carried the ball, I know he didn't have a great game in terms of yards per carry, but he made some nice runs today's game too, which was encouraging to see. Brendan Allen looks like a stud. I mean, shouldn't surprise anyone because he and Brees worked out with one of the greatest running backs of all time, especially in recent NFL memory, and Derrick Henry, who the Jets will play this year. I forgot which week, but we play them at Baltimore, so that should be a good, interesting sighting.
Yeah, week 14, I think.
Yeah, week 14, week 15, something around that range. Should be a good test for our defense, but obviously, we did get a couple interceptions, which was nice, but, obviously the interception that Stiggers made was a poorly – talk about an air ball. That was an air ball by Russell Wilson. I mean, I'm thinking, don't disrespect the Stiggers. He made a nice play on the ball, but that was a terrible overthrow by Russell Wilson. But outside of that throw, he don't look too bad, Russell Wilson. Stiggers made some nice plays here and there. Our D-line needs to do a better job of generating pressure. Yes, I know we didn't have, Quinnen, Jermaine, and Will McDonald. But our D-line needs to step it the hell up with its deep because obviously, Leonard Terry, I thought, made some nice plays. Tufele, I didn't think did anything in this game. But we need to do a better job of generating pressure. We can't just rely on starting front to do all the work.
And if it turns out, like most of us think, and Byron Cowart is the starter next to Quinnen, then technically all four of our starters were out on the defensive line. So, I
forgot about him. He's had some experience, correct, Brian Cowart?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good to know. But obviously, what really impressed me today was our special team. Our special team played nice. Our punter, McNamara, what the hell his name is?
McNamara? Yeah.
McNamara, he looked good. I know we released Thomas Morstead, who in my opinion is a future Hall of Fame caliber punter. But, it's funny. It's really I said that because not too many punters have been inducted to the Hall of Fame, which to me is disgraceful because we have had so many great punters throughout the years. Obviously, the only punter got inducted to the Hall of Fame was the legend himself, Ray Guy, and that took him forever to get inducted. But yeah, obviously, Nick Folk had a good game. Obviously, he kicked 2 field goals, which I know he's 40 years old. But look, I know people are gonna hate me for saying this. He ain't no Adam Vinatieri, but he's a damn good kicker.
Yeah, you know what? He is a good kicker, and after what we dealt with last year, I'll take it.
Greg Zerline took a huge dive in it, but I know he was hurt, but man, he took a huge dive in his production and last year because in his first 2 years with us, he was very, very good, especially back in 23 when our offense was dog shit when Aaron Rodgers went down. But then again, our offensive line was bad too that year as well. But, it was really damn good to see Nick Folk kicking field goals again for us. I mean, Nick Folk obviously was one of my favorite Jet players growing up. Unfortunately, he didn't make my top 10, but he's one of my favorite Jets growing up. And it's funny, people say that he wasn't that good with the Cowboys, yet when he came to the Jets, he had the best statistical success of his career. Laugh out loud, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was real good when he was with us before. And, dude, kickers are so weird to me because, when they're hot, they're so good, but, it seems like for whatever reason, when they fall off, they just fall off bad. But
here's the thing, though. Some of these kickers, we still got the thicker kicker, right? Or is he cut?
He's still there for now. He's still there for now.
I was saying this because the last time we saw a really good thicker kicker was Seabass, Sebastian Janikowski, who played most of his career with the Raiders. That dude I was talking about it on the channel, one of the channels the other day. He was the 17th overall pick by the Raiders in 2000. The guy was an amazing kicker. He had a leg. He was consistently productive. He was consistently reliable. He was a damn good kicker. And he's considered by me to be one of the best fat guys in NFL history, and he was a kicker.
Yeah, I don't think he was quite as thick as the guy that we have now, but yeah.
I know that, but I'm just saying when I think of a thicker kicker, I think of Sebastian Janikowski. That guy could kick ass playing kicker.
Dude, I'll tell you what. There was a clip the other day from practice of the thicker kicker, and man, like his approach just. He didn't look like he was steady on his feet on his approach. And after he kicked the ball, it looked like he almost like lost his balance a little bit. And I was seriously just waiting for him to fall on his ass. And you know, it just showed him kicking. It didn't show whether the kick went through or not. But I was thinking to myself, my God, that was ugly. I hope he made it at least. But not real graceful looking. Look, man,
you gotta have a good approach to the game. You know, it's about your mindset. I know I have never played football professionally. I've never played football and pee-wees and any of that shit. But if you're gonna have a career, you gotta have your head in the game. And that's the problem with a lot of these, you know, I wouldn't say the term whippers, a lot of these young athletes, you know. I understand you're making a ton of money playing what people call a quote-unquote kids game. But if you want to make a career, you gotta have your head in the game. And that's what to me is what's lacking a lot of today's athletes, especially these young football players.
You know what? It takes a tremendous amount of work for those guys to get to where they are. And if you look at the number of high school kids that play football, the number of college kids that play football, and then you look at how few of them actually make it to the NFL, like there's no guy that ends up in the NFL by accident. If you don't work your ass off, you're not going to find yourself in this position.
Antonio Gates never played a single snap in college football, yet he's in the Hall of Fame as one of the greatest receiving tight ends of all time.
Dude, he was, yeah, but he was a basketball player. So, I mean, he was an athlete. And he was so good. And I'll tell you an Antonio Gates story, because like he wasn't a world beater for his very first snap, but like I remember his rookie year, like at the end of the year, he finally started getting some playing time and started to come on. And I was like, oh man, you know what? This kid's going to be good. And so the following year we had our fantasy football draft, and we all drafted in person. Like we were all at this guy's house and all the teams were there and we're all hanging out. And there's this one jackass, like can't stand this fucking guy. Never did his homework. And like, usually by the time we'd get halfway through the draft, he'd be like, I don't care. Give me like whatever's the highest rated receiver left on the board, or the highest rated tight end on the board. Like, you know, so like that. And that year he actually left the draft early. And so we got a guy over there calling him like, hey, Jay, who do you want? And I probably shouldn't say, I didn't say his last name. Nobody knows who he is, but, and I know he won't be watching this channel because he's not a Jets fan. And even if he was, at any rate, so I had been waiting and waiting, and that was going to be like my good sleeper pick at the end of the draft. And this idiot is right in front of me. And like I had decided, okay, I've waited long enough. If I screw around much longer, I'm going to take a chance of missing him. And so the guy calls him on the phone. He's like, what do you want to take? And he's like, what do I need? And the guy's like, oh, you need another linebacker. You need another tight end. And he's like, all right, I don't care. Give me whatever the highest rated tight end left on the board is. And it just happened to be Antonio Gates. And I was pissed. I was like, you know what? He shouldn't even be allowed to pick because he's not here. He left. Number two, he shouldn't get to pick the guy if he doesn't even know the guy's name. Like I was furious. And
don't blame me, man. Don't blame you.
it didn't matter. His team stunk anyway. He was always like one of the worst teams in our league. Probably because he put the least amount of work into it. And like that's the guy that never had all of his buy-in money, and then you'd have to chase him throughout the year to try to get the rest of it. And I ended up getting rid of him, and then he like posted a bunch of like rude comments online about me, about my wife, about my kids.
Oh my God.
He crossed
That's a
every
real
line you
toxic
can think of.
individual.
And I was like, dude, you know what? You're not making me look bad. All you're doing is letting everybody know that I made the right call by getting rid of you. So at any rate, yeah, man. And you know what? Tight end for a long time when I was doing that was like, my sweet spot where I would get people, because I'd be like, okay, these guys are going to like run out and waste like a second or third round pick on Gronk every year. And I would sit back and wait, and it would get to be like round 8, 9,
Gronk
10.
was, I know he played the Patriots for most of his career, but he was a damn good player.
I know he was, but dude, I would sit back and wait till, round 9, 10, whatever. And I'd be like, I'll take Delaney Walker. And like,
he was
dude,
good too, but his prime wasn't as long as you would think, though. His best years were with Tennessee, and they were mostly a shitty football team with him.
Dude, he was good though.
I know that. No doubt he was good. No doubt about it. Don't get me wrong. He was a very solid player. But when he was on, but his best years were with Tennessee, and that was mostly when they were a bad football team, But don't get me wrong. He was a very fun player to watch. But I was also going to say was that, speaking of great tight ends, Tyler Warren looks good for the Colts.
You know what? Admittedly, I haven't really watched as much preseason football from other teams this year as what I normally would.
But he looks good, man. He looks like the real deal. Obviously, instead of wearing number 44, he's wearing number 84 on the Colts. But he looks good, man. He looks real solid. I know a lot of Jet fans wanted him to. I wanted him to initially, but I developed the idea. I came to the conclusion I needed to solidify the offensive line. And we got Membu, who has looked great once again in today's game. I mean, that's the key thing. Membu has looked good the last couple of weeks, People were saying, oh, this guy looks like a bum because he's getting his ass kicked in practice. That's freaking practice.
Well, you know what? His run blocking has been stellar. Now his pass protection, and like I said, he's a rookie. These are his very first snaps against other competition, and Brian Burns is like a top 5 defensive end in the league. Like, he probably should be getting beat, but you know what? It's only going to make him better.
Exactly. He looks good. I mean, he hasn't looked too bad in pass protection. He looked good in run blocking too.
Yeah, so I'm not that overly worried about it. I mean, every week we're not going to face a team that's got one of the best defensive tackles in the game and 3 first-round picks to go along with it. Plus,
week 1 we're going against. I mean, look, I understand week 1 we're going against a very talented Steelers defense, right? With T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, Nick Herbig. To go on and on with the insane amount of talent they have with pass rushing. But honestly, I'm not trying to be cocky or naive, but I'm very confident with our offensive line so far.
Yeah, I'm not that worried about Pittsburgh either. I think we're going to do better than most people think in that game. And you know what? Aaron Rodgers, he can't move anymore. He's not mobile. He can't escape. And I think our pass rush is going to have their way with him.
I hope so. I mean, I think so too, but we got to hope so, man, because, we can say all this shit and come week 1, we can get our ass kicked.
We could. You know what? I don't think it would be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. I think that's going to be a good game, a close game, but I think we're very possible, for us to win that for sure.
Well, I think we have a better chance to win that game too. Don't get me wrong. Anyways, it was good talking with you, Rickie. I hope you're doing good, buddy. I'm feeling better myself. I'm gonna take some Zyrtec with a bottle of water, no sugar in it. I know people like to break my chops because I like to eat a lot of sugary stuff. With regular water, Zyrtec, and I'm gonna go hit the hay soon. Have a good day, buddy. God bless, and we'll talk soon.
All right, man. Thank you for calling in, Charles. I appreciate you, and take care of yourself, buddy. All right, folks. Charles Gorman calling in. Awesome. I'm glad to hear you're doing better, Charles. And you got my number. Anytime you ever need to talk, anything, reach out. I'm here. And man, ladies and gentlemen, that's we probably won't be able to top that call. Charles, great. Always good at breaking stuff down. He's got a tremendous memory when it comes to historical Jets facts. Puts me to shame. I can tell you that. The amount of information that guy can retain is just really impressive. But that's pretty much probably going to be it for tonight, guys. I'm going to go ahead and start winding this down. I wish that there had been more positives for me to go over with you guys. But like I said, if there's going to be growing pains, let's get them out of the way now. So that being said, I will see you all. Let me see. I will see you all this Thursday at 8 p.m. at my regular time. And until then, everybody have a great night. And